Hey, what's up guys, it's Renaldo here. So this video is going to focus on how News24 is blatantly lying on behalf of Afrikaners, and secondly, how some Afrikaners think that they can speak on behalf of an entire culture. Now before we get into this video, please be sure to subscribe to this channel. Most of you that watch my content aren't subscribed to this channel, but you can fix that by just clicking the subscribe button below. Alright, so it seems that 44 Afrikaners believe that they have the combined approval of all Afrikaners to pen a letter to Donald Trump by saying, "Not in our name. Stop using our culture in the way to further your initiatives and to further your narratives." Now, these 44 Afrikaners are the usual suspects, the woke leftist bleeding hearts, the ones that still actually think that apartheid is to blame for the failures that we have in 2025. Now, what am I talking about? Let's have a look at what they have to say. Not in our name. Afrikaners respond to the misuse of their story in US politics. Yeah. So if News24 wants to know why people don't trust them anymore, they shouldn't blame podcasters, they should blame the editorial team, because this is what is on full display here. 44 Afrikaners do not represent Afrikaners. We are still well over 1.5 million Afrikaners in South Africa, and 44 of them that are leftist bleeding hearts that blame apartheid for everything still in 2025 is not representative of Afrikaners in South Africa. So what are they saying here? This is the letter. So Afrikaners speak out against political misuse of their identity in the USA, a topic currently gaining prominence with reports in the New York Times, Washington Post, and locally. As South Africans and Afrikaners, we write this response with concern and conviction. The Trump administration planned to prioritize white South Africans to refugee status, while drastically cutting overall refugee admissions, have brought our identity into the spotlight in ways that are deeply troubling. According to these 44, not all South Africans and not all Afrikaners, we reject the narrative that casts Afrikaners as victims of racial persecution in post-apartheid South Africa. Okay, so are you saying that the 143 race-based laws that are currently in South Africa that discriminate directly against white South Africans is not some form of racial persecution? And the fact that Kill the Boer, Kill the Farmer being able to be sung and approved by the Constitutional Court is not racial persecution? How dumb are you? Or are you just woke for pay? I mean, it's absurd. This framing now being used to support the far-right great replacement theory in the United States is not only misleading but also dangerous. I love how everything is always far-right or right-wing lunatics when the narrative simply just doesn't align with what the leftists have to say. It's just sickening, man. Like, anything that don't agree with their worldview is fringe right-wing, It's absolutely absurd. It goes on to say, it distorts the realities of South Africa, weaponizes our history, and reduces a complex social context and necessary leveling of playing fields into a simplistic symbol of white decline. 31 years later, and there are young white Afrikaners being born that will not be able to get a job because of the color of their skin, and you want to blame apartheid for that. You don't want to blame the ANC's failure for that. You want to blame apartheid for that. Let us be clear. South Africa faces serious challenges. Okay, so who's to blame for these challenges? To these 44 Afrikaners. Because according to them, crime, inequality, and the enduring legacy of apartheid. Of course, there we go. It's never the ANC's fault. The ANC has been in charge of this country for 31 years. They have had trillions of rands to fix the injustices of apartheid, but they have not. And because they have not, that means that the ANC is responsible for what is wrong in South Africa in 2025. Stop using apartheid as an excuse for ANC failure. It's enough. But these issues affect South Africans of all races. Yes, nobody is saying that the issues of South Africa doesn't affect all South Africans. But there is a clear indication by the government and by political parties that sing songs about killing white people and killing Afrikaners specifically, and 143 race-based laws in this country that discriminate against white people. It's quite clear that these issues that I'm talking about affects only white South Africans and Afrikaners specifically. To cherry pick white suffering and elevate it above others is dishonest and harmful. You know, the irony, of course, is that this program is open to minorities in South Africa, not just Afrikaners. So these 44 people that have signed this letter is clearly not understanding what this refugee program is offering. It's offering all minorities in South Africa an option to go to the United States. So just on that basis, this entire letter is false. It doesn't actually speak the truth. It says it feeds extremist ideologies that perpetuate division and have inspired real-world violence, including mass shootings. Oh, okay. Ooh. We are not pawns in America's culture wars. We are South Africans, part of our diverse, evolving nation still grappling with its past and striving toward a more just future. How is 143 race-based laws discriminating against young white South Africans that had no hand in apartheid? Explain to me how that is justice. Explain to me how that is just. I mean, our identity is monolithic, nor is it defined by animosity between historical groupings. Afrikaners have done harm in the past, and we acknowledge that. As citizens of post-apartheid South Africa, we have dedicated ourselves to building our country. You see what I'm saying with the bleeding leftist heart? You know, like no blame at the foot of the ANC, all blame on apartheid still, 31 years later. You know, these 44 South Africans are actually the racist ones because they think that black people can't be put on the same level as white people and that they need the special love, special attention. They are the actual racists over here. As citizens of post-apartheid South Africa, we have dedicated ourselves to building our country. Singling us out as victims of multi-racialism alienates us from our fellow South Africans and harms relationships that have been fostered over the past 30 years. What relationships exactly? Race-based policies, broad-based black economic empowerment, affirmative action, expropriation laws, the Bella Act, actually, because it's law now. You know, all of these things. Is that what you want to talk about? I'm not going to, read more of this cock because, as you can see, it is clearly cock. You can go and read it on your own. But these are the people that signed it. Annelies Burgess, Rudy Bass, Vani Carstens, Andrie Celier, Fani Klute. All of these people are professors, or reverends. You can see it. It's the academics. And this is, remember, where woke leftism came from. It came from universities. And these are the same professors that now want to tell you, oh, you mustn't feel wronged by 143 race-based laws. You mustn't feel wronged with people singing songs about killing you, And of course, Prof. Piet Kroukamp. Yeah, there we go. Frederik de Jager, Louis Du Plessis, Pierre de Vos, of course. By the way, Pierre, are you sure that somebody hacked your account? When those underaged pictures surfaced, was that your account being hacked? Okay, you've got a lot to say on this. Why don't you tell us what happened with those photos magically appearing and then disappearing from your profile? Anyway, Louis Du Plessis, Stan Du Plessis, Max de Pree, of course, and it just goes on and it goes on and on. And you can go and look at these names, you can pause it. But these are the people that think that they can speak on behalf of Afrikaners. These 44 people think that they can speak on behalf of 1 million Afrikaners. And then just to add to that, of course, News24 has to double down on everything because they have to get as many clicks as possible. And if you look at this article, it's pretty much exactly the same thing. But over here it says, it's racist. Prominent Afrikaners reject Trump's U.S. refugee policy. Prominent, you say? Okay, well, these names. Does anybody know who Ali van Wyk is? A.A. van Niekerk, Jacob van Garderen, Rudy Swanepoel, Petrus Stridom, Marilee Stolp, Susan Steinberg, Deborah Steinma, Chris Spies. I don't know. I know 3 or 4 of these people on here, and all of them are woke leftists, which clearly tells me that the rest is exactly the same. Now, let me be very clear. Nothing irks me more than when somebody thinks that they can speak on behalf of an entire culture. And as you could see from that letter, they clearly do not know what they're talking about. And News24 also knows that they don't know what they're talking about. Because Donald Trump has made it clear that this refugee offer is open to all minorities in South Africa. That includes white Afrikaners, white English people, colored people, Indian people. These are minorities. So it's not just for Afrikaners. But who the hell do these 44 Afrikaners think they are to pen a letter like that on behalf of Afrikaners? And of course, News24, being the outlet that they are, will gladly just mistitle this and give it a headline that clearly fools everybody. And then they want to go and blame podcasters for why nobody trusts them. No, people don't trust you because you write shitty articles and you clickbait people into reading stuff that in actual fact is not really what is being said. This is what the problem is. But once again, News24, mainstream media, is now wanting to highlight 44 Afrikaners. I don't know how to unpack this other than just to tell you that surely you know that this is idiotic. The headline used, Afrikaners. No, some Afrikaners. In actual fact, a minority of Afrikaners. If I had to do a poll and ask Afrikaners, do you agree with this letter, yes or no? I can guarantee you that the overwhelming majority of people will say no, they do not agree with this letter. And in actual fact, these people that wrote that letter are absolute idiots. And the reason I'm so upset over all of this is because mainstream media is using the ignorance of these 44 Afrikaners to further their narrative. Because News24 has been on this train from February when the announcement was made by Donald Trump. And many times they've been proven that this is not what you are saying, that's not what you are saying, this is not what you are saying, it's factually incorrect. And yet they just continue with the lie. They know if they just go and opened a speech or the letter by Donald Trump, it is clear that it is for all minorities in South Africa. But they will hammer on this Afrikaner narrative because that makes people click on their links and it gives them website views, which means revenue in their pockets. Because remember, as I've said many times, mainstream media's main objective above all else is to turn a profit for their shareholders and then secondly to report on the news. Otherwise, they won't exist. And to those 44 Afrikaners that signed and drafted that letter, shame on you. Shame on you for thinking that you can firstly speak on behalf of all Afrikaners and secondly for writing bullshit and writing blatant lies. These are professors, these are reverends, these are politicians, these are people that should know what it means when Donald Trump says minorities. Not just Afrikaners, minorities in South Africa. So in conclusion, that letter that was written is firstly not accurate. So frommel it op en moer dit uit. Or even better, frommel it op and stick it where you can keep your opinion, which is in your backside. And that's pretty much all I got to say. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please be sure to smash that like button. Please be sure to subscribe to this channel. Please be sure to share this video far and wide because I would like to know what you have to say as an Afrikaner. Let me know in the comments below whether you agree with this letter or whether you don't agree with this letter. Also, if you enjoy my content, and please consider becoming a member. You can do so by clicking the join button below. And that's pretty much all I got to say. Till later. Cheers and peace out.
You don't even know me, but every time you see me, you say, I wear my massacre. You don't even know me, but every time you see me, you say, I wear my massacre. I wear my massacre. You don't even know me, but every time you see me, you say, I wear my massacre. I wear my massacre.